Hello, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Mike Fixes Suicide Squad. Today we're going to be doing DEADSHOT. I don't actually hate this particular design of DEADSHOT. I more kind of just dislike the design of DEADSHOT overall, even in the comic books. So I'm going to take him and give him a little Mike Miller twist and see if I can't make something just a little bit better. Before we jump into that, allow me 30 seconds to introduce myself. My name is Mike S. Miller, 32-year professional comic book creator, video game concept artist, writer, blah, blah, blah. I'm the creator of multiple intellectual properties including Imaginaries, Deal with the Devil, Six Gun Samurai, and Lone Star. Available to pre-order at lonestarcomic.com, link in the description below. Our vision here at Blacklist Universe is ultimately to create a multimedia venture to bring quality and ethics back to storytelling. We're tired of the DEI woke agenda ruining every book, comic, game, movie, and TV show, and we're bound and determined to do something about it. If that sounds good to you, then join us by subscribing and maybe even supporting us as a channel member. No one can fight the culture war alone. We're here to fight and to make a difference, and we hope you are too. And one more thing, I do a weekly live stream at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time called Drawn in Quarter, where me and a group of my other professional artist friends get together and draw and chat and have a good time, and we would love for you to join us. Now back to the video. So the DEADSHOT in the video game Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League is actually like huge. He's like way bigger than DEADSHOT has to be. He's like Batman, or not even Batman, he's like super size. He's practically the Hulk. He's huge. He doesn't have to be that big. So I'm just giving him a good athletic, strong athletic build. Sort of basic superhero size, but not like so yoked that it's, I don't know. I think it's a little bit ridiculous. And on top of that, I'm getting rid of those I hate the idea of him wearing just giant, bulky, like gun gauntlets that honestly you can't aim down sight. If any of you ever play any first-person shooters, you know what aiming down sight means, right? You literally cannot aim down sight with a gauntlet gun. It's just not possible. And conversely, if you're shooting from the hip, why do you have a scope for an eye? This is like the thing that is uniquely recognizable about DEADSHOT is he has a target scope thing on his eye so that he can target items. And if you're targeting something, then why do you need, I don't know, so I suppose there's some sort of a combination where you can hip fire and have a targeting thing or whatever, or maybe it's all mechanized, but then if it's all mechanized, then what is even the purpose of him? Is he a robot? Is he a cyborg? I don't think he is. DEADSHOT's power isn't a superpower. He's just extraordinarily accurate with his weapons, right? He boasts that he never misses his target. All right, well, I guess you can hip fire with that, but if you're hip firing, that I don't know. I just don't understand. Maybe I'm confused about the whole thing. So I just made him a marksman. I gave him just far range. You'll notice the gun, it's extra long. It's sort of like an extended Desert Eagle, more of a half rifle, just so it has a better, longer shot. And then I kind of loaded him up with weapons. So he's got two, let's call them long guns, not long rifles. He's got two long guns, and he's got two shorter, shoulder holstered weapons. So, and then obviously I give him. I gave him ammunition, because that's one thing they don't put on DEADSHOT. They don't give him... How is he supposed to have all of these guns and weapons and no ammunition? I don't understand it. So I gave him at least a few extra magazines for his automatic pistols. I thought about like strapping a rifle to his back, but then I'm like, you know what? I think if I was redesigning DEADSHOT, I would give him the longer range guns, the longer range pistols, rather than the whole rifle thing, because the rifle thing can kind of just get in the way and kind of be a drag if you're, running around and rooftop. I don't even know. I try to maintain some of the basic elements of the character so he is recognizable, although really all you need for DEADSHOT is you got to just give him that monocle, that big red monocle, and everyone's going to know it's DEADSHOT. So you could see in some of the skins they give him, it's like, it doesn't matter what the skin is. right? As long as he's got that monocle. Yeah, I mean, even in the movies, they took Will Smith and they took his mask off completely and they just gave him the monocle. And it's like, hey, look, I'm Deadshot because I'm Will Smith with a red monocle. I mean, it gets a little silly, honestly. So I took the motif of the monocle and I brought it down onto his belt just as a design element because it becomes sort of a logo, right? I know on the Deadshot in the Kill the Justice League, they drew his logo across his costume, which I don't know. I don't know what the heck they were thinking. It's a huge, bulky costume. It doesn't seem to me. I don't know, when you have a character who's not like superhumanly athletic, and then you weigh him down with 80, 100 pounds worth of gear, it's just gonna drag him down. So you want armor, you want a decent amount of armor and whatnot. But I mean, these are superhero characters, even though he's again not superhuman. So you have to at least play in the world where this could be realistic. And like a lot of the movies and stuff nowadays, that's what they do, is they kind of take the realistic track. I mean, all the Batman stuff, Batman and Punisher and Daredevil, all these things, they kind of try to take this realistic tack in the movies. And I kind of think that's a decent way to go about it in the comics too. I mean, I know it's like you want the ideal humans, the ideal figures, all that stuff, but you want, I don't know, you want it to be believable, right? You want it to be believable, but at the same time have that suspension of disbelief so that, yeah, you can believe this dude can shoot anything, anywhere, and never miss, right? And there are, I mean, I've seen some sharpshooters that can do some crazy stuff, shooting coins out of the sky in the blink of an eye. I've seen a guy who can pull and draw and fire and hit his targets like faster than you can see him pull and draw and hit his target. Like the gun just, it's like a blink. In the blink, he's fired his shot. So I can believe a character like this can do that kind of an action. But at the same time, you don't want him weighed down with 100 pounds of gear running around, with his other superhero buddies, because that becomes a little less believable. I mean, yeah, if you're a soldier, you have a lot of gear, at least you're probably not doing the kind of ducking and dodging and super powered acrobatics that your DC Marvel superhero types are doing. When you're playing in the superhero world and you don't actually have superpowers, I don't know. I think it's a different ball game. Anyways, maybe I'm just being too practical and this is a superhero character. Maybe I should get back to the point of why I'm doing these. It's because I am designing the character and I want the character to sort of fit the idea of a superhero universe, but, something relatively believable so that, when you do make games or make TV shows with these characters or movies, you can require less suspension of disbelief. On the boots here, I went back to the original Deadshot design and I kind of pilfered some of the design elements from there. I didn't maintain a lot of it, but, obviously the Deadshot eye monocle thingy. I changed the shape of the mask because the mask, Deadshot always just had this giant silver mask, silver monotone mask. And I'm like, that is, I don't know. To me, it's like super crazy boring. So actually what they did in Kill the Justice League is more interesting than the mask they use in the comic books. But I didn't want to go that direction either because for them, it's just like a giant hard thing. It's like the mask here, it feels a little bit more like a comic book mask. I gave it some, like tubing, not tubing, but, like design elements to break up the colors because I wanted to give him a multi-tone task instead of just a single solitary. I just didn't like it. So this is my redesign. If DC, if I was hired to redesign Deadshot for DC, this is the way I would do it. So this would work for a comic book, for a video game. It doesn't really matter. I know like a lot of the older comic book stuff, they try to simplify everything because you have to draw these characters, dozens of times every issue, hundreds of times every graphic novel. And so you don't want to put in the most detailed, complicated designs in the world because everything you put on a character that's going to take you an extra 10 minutes to draw multiply that out across having to draw this dozens of times or hundreds of times, and it just adds up over time. So that's why they had very simple costumes in the comics, but then when you go over to the video games or the movies, they get much more detailed and much more complex because you only have to model a model once, and then you can animate it, and it doesn't take any more time than that. You only have to build a costume once for a TV show or a movie or whatever, and then that character can wear that costume all the time. So you can have all kinds of superfluous, meaningless, pointless details, or even fun details. Just make it look good. There's a reason why you look at the Avengers movies and stuff, and it's like Thor doesn't just have a black tank top with 6 white circles on it. It's like this crazy over-designed thing, and I know Andy Park, he's a great artist, and I think the designs look great. I'm not bagging on it, but you can do that in the comics, but you're just going to drag the comic production to a halt. And these things used to be monthly comic books, right? So monthly comic books, you got to churn out at least a page a day in order to maintain this kind of schedule. Well, I'm doing sort of a middle of the road thing with DEADSHOT here, so I'm giving him some of the details, but the general costume design is very much just the bodysuit, two-tone, and then he has some gear on him that sort of makes up the extra space and time. And once again, I am going in with my standard 3-tone tint, tone, hue, coloring style. So first I drop in my shadow layer, and then I go in and I excise out all of the hot spots where the light source would be going. Here I have him turned 3/4, and so even though I maintain my general 3/4 light source, because he's turned away, more than half of his body is still in shadow. So which it's a pretty good look. I actually like it when you leave a lot of a character in shadow. One of these days I'm gonna have to do one of these characters with multiple light sources and a core shadow. That'll be something, some of you guys who come here and you watch these videos to learn how to color and learn how to draw and stuff. The core shadow stuff, like I kind of did a little bit on the face there. You can see where there's lighting from the right side of the face and from the left side of the face. Core shadow lighting can be very cool because you can have a cool color lighting him from one angle and then a warm color lighting him from another angle. And it's I don't know, it's a really cool way to do it. I stopped doing it in comics in general because usually you have a separate colorist than you do for your penciler or inker or whatever. And that can become a problem when your colorist doesn't understand what a core shadow is. And so even though you draw a cool core shadow because you have the idea that maybe, he's standing next to a neon sign, and that neon sign is lighting up one side of him red, and the other side of him is just, the color of the room behind him or whatever. So many colorists don't even understand how to do that I don't know. I got so jaded working with other artists rather than just doing everything myself over the years. I mean, way back in the beginning, they wouldn't even let me ink my own artwork. And as much as I'd beg them to, I was like, please let me ink this myself. I know how to ink. They're like, no, you can't. We're on a schedule. You got to just blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, Ultimately, I gave up inking for a while because Jim Lee was asking me, he's like, Mike, do you want to be a penciler or do you want to be an inker? And I'm like, well, I want to be a penciler. And he's like, well, then you should stop inking and just focus on penciling. And I'm like, but I like inking and I want to ink my own work. Why is this not going? Well, that was annoying. I don't know where I was, but I had to completely restart my program because my video wasn't running. Anyways, here I am. Again, tint, tone, hue. You do the three tones to create the form and shape. And again, most of this guy's in the shadow, so this part didn't take me as long as usual. Going in with the white highlights, hitting up the shiny parts and the metal parts and everything I want to have that not soft texture with, and then going in and doing all the flatting, the boringest part of coloring where you're just selecting out color areas. It's got to be done. If you're doing comic pages, this is extremely tedious. Usually people just hire other artists. There's flatters out there who will, I don't know, I guess they live in Indonesia or India or someplace where spending however long it takes to do this for $15 a page actually makes sense. But here it's like it can take forever to flat an image, and it's like, can I just hire somebody from a third world country to do this for me? But thankfully this is just a single figure, and so I can do this myself, and it doesn't take all that long. And since I've already done all of the shading, the tint and the tone and the hue, then just changing out the colors, it's I don't know, that's just the final thing. And you switch it out, you switch these colors out, and you find where you want to bring the colors down to balance it. Like you can see, I mean, obviously he's all red here, and then I, with the grayish blue other core color, then I just kind of pop that yellow around to draw the eye around the character. And then you have the neutral tone of the gray, and there you have it. You have what's basically the original DEADSHOT color scheme, but I broke it up. I changed it up, I think, enough that it creates a more unique, a more interesting character overall. Again, I was never a fan of the original DEADSHOT. I'm not a huge fan of the redesigns in any of the other media, the movies or the video games or anything. So here you go. I did my own DEADSHOT. I hope you like it. I hope you like it better than what they gave you anyways. And here we go through a few different color variations, trying to stay on the basic color theme, but diverting a little bit here and there, just to give you a little something to select if you're playing this character in a video game. This was fun. I did this actually on an episode of Drawn and Quartered, which is our weekly live stream where me and a few professional artists get together every week, select a character to draw, and then we've been doing some redesigns lately on there too. Join us Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And hopefully I'll see you on the next video.